for workshop number 1 in our November series. It is called Building the Foundation. And I'm excited about this training today. I'm excited because I remember when I was in my prayer closet, believe it or not, and God began to give me the vision for this November series and this workshop. Sometimes as solopreneurs, people tend to feel overwhelmed in terms of making decisions, working in their business, working on their business. And it's a vision that God gave me to help people to be able to reset or to rebuild their life going into the new year. This came from the foundation of a scripture. I'm unapologetically a woman, a businesswoman of faith. And you are probably familiar, or if not familiar, I'm going to share it with you today in the book of Nehemiah, when Nehemiah was rebuilding the wall. And as we talk today about building and rebuilding, what I'm going to be teaching about, it comes from the foundation of that scripture in Nehemiah. I want to read it today before I start today's teaching in terms of building the foundation. What does it mean to build a foundation for your life, your career, and your business? Can I just for a moment, let me know if it's okay. Can I just for a moment pull on my faith foundation to begin this teaching? I'm going to pull from Nehemiah. Yes, good. I love y'all. I love y'all that you love your Bible too. Nehemiah 4:6, it says, so built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof. I'm reading from the King James. For the people had a mind to work. I'm going to read from New Living Translation. It says, at last the wall was completed to half its height around the entire city, for the people had worked with enthusiasm. Today at the foundation and the first training of building the foundation, we want to zero in on having a mind to work. One of the things about your life, your career, and your business, it is never going to flow without you having the proper mindset. And we see even in our biblical foundation with Nehemiah, and they were able to build the walls half around the city because it says that the people had a mind to work. So working is not a physical activity, it is a mental activity. I'm going to say that again, right? Working is not just a physical activity, it is a mental activity. One of my mentors, Marcus, he always says that entrepreneurship or business is a thinking sport, and it is really about your mindset, how far you get in your life, right? So now that we're talking about a mind to work, what does it look like for us to build or to rebuild the foundation? I sent out to my email list that I sometimes don't even want to mention the words COVID or pandemic because I know it's a trigger word for people, but let's be honest and let's be real. The pandemic has caused a lot of people to break down in their mental structure and in their foundation. Whether you know it or not, whether you accept it or not, we all have experienced 2 years or 2 years plus of trauma. And because of that, many of us, sometimes we might feel stuck, we might feel overwhelmed, we might feel confused, we might feel like, I don't know what is the next step for my life and my business. Let me know. I'm going to just release a poll inside of the Facebook group, inside of the Zoom, sorry. How do you feel right now in terms of your life and your business? I'm just going to poll the room that we have here to see. I want to make sure that my assignment for this training is being met because I know what I sense, I know what I feel, and I know why I was assigned this particular training. Yes, there are people that are doing well, and there are people who have very strong mental faculties right now, but there's also a group of people that feel tired, that feel overwhelmed, that has had a tough time processing everything that came with the pandemic. And that's who this training is for. That's who this session is for. And I just want to make sure that I have the right bodies in the room. Now, I know some of you are watching this right now on Facebook, on YouTube, on other platforms. And then I have my VIPs who are in the Zoom room with me. If you are not in the Zoom room, please make sure that you join my Facebook group, Purpose Diaries, to get access to the Zoom room, because after we end the stream, I'm just going to spend some time with those of you in the Zoom room, answering questions, doing coaching, giving you hot seat advice, because you committed to being here today. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Somebody says, yes, I felt overwhelmed. Somebody said, I'm now restarting after some time off. I love it. So I have the right group and the right assignment. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys as we start our presentation this morning in terms of building the foundation. Please let me know by typing yes if you can see my screen. Type yes if you can see my screen. Building the foundation for the future. Yes, yes, can you see my screen? Okay, great. So let's talk about what does build means. To build means to construct or to make something strong. We talked about our foundation scripture, Nehemiah 4:6, for the people had a mind to work. When we talk about building the foundation, where does the foundation come from? You can't build a strong building on a weak foundation. So let's revisit what we are building. Now, many of us, we had strong foundations, but because of experiencing trauma over the past 2 years, that foundation was shaken. I like to say that your life is really supported by about 4 pillars. So if you think about a shape in terms of a square, there are like 4 sides. So your life is supported by 4 pillars. I'm going to share my pillars so you can begin to identify yours. My pillars are my faith. Mostly everything that I do, the foundation of that, my belief system, my core beliefs, my business decisions, my life decisions, it comes and it surrounds my faith. So my faith is one pillar of my life. Then my family is the second pillar. So I'm very family oriented. Everything that I do is to make sure that my family is good, that they are well. So that's the second pillar of my life. Another pillar of my life is my friends. My friends kind of become family. So without them, it interrupts my flow. And finally, my finances. Everything that I want to do, it is tied to my money. So my pillars just happen to be 4 F's, and they're faith, family, friends, and finances. What does a pillar do? A pillar upholds your life. So anytime any of my 4 pillars are shaken or broken or interrupted, I feel that in my life, and it shakes and distorts my ability to flow in everything else. So if something is off in my faith, I cannot function. If something is off in terms of my family, or I'm worried or I'm stressed about a family matter, it affects the pillar of my life. Similarly, my friends and my finances. So there are things in your life I want you to begin to identify. Things that have happened or things that have shaken your foundation, shaken your pillars. What is the thing that if something happens to you, it is going to impact everything in your life? That is what a life pillar is. It is something that upholds your life. So some people, they are upheld by their fitness or their health goals. Some people are upheld by their business, or let's say their career or their advancement. Identify what are your pillars. So when we look at foundation, what does foundation mean? Foundation is your mindset, first of all. Foundation is your vision or your mission. Foundation is your personal skills, your beliefs, values, and leverage. So all of these 6 points, they play a key role in your foundation, your mindset, your vision, and your mission, your personal skills, your beliefs, your values, and leverage. We'll talk a lot about value and leverage in the next slide. But these are the things that impact your ability to be successful in your life, your career, and your business. So we talked about the pillars, so we're going to be layering some concepts today, right? And I'm going to answer Q&A for those of you in the Zoom room. So we talked about the pillars being the 4 things that upholds my life. If one of them is impacted, I am out of balance or out of sync. Now, what is the foundation of my life? We now have these 6 elements that form the foundation of my life. So if any of these are impacted, it means that my foundation is shaken and I cannot build a strong building on a weak foundation. What's going to happen is my building is going to crumble. I might have height, but I don't have depth. Let me say that again. I might have height in terms of building, but I don't have depth. And because I don't have depth, when something happens in my life, if I don't have foundation, it's going to alter my results and my ability to produce. So let's talk about mindset foundation. You don't get a mindset, you have a mindset. So your mindset is what it is based on your experiences, based on your beliefs. If you want to change your results, it means you need to change what you're believing. Because as you change what you're believing, you will now impact your results. Now, belief is not on a superficial, conscious level, because you could say you believe something and not really believe it. You could speak in terms of belief, but deep down in your mindset, you don't really believe that it's possible for you. You don't really believe that you could have it. So this is where, in terms of building foundation, you need to look at mindset. Vision and mission. Where are you going? What is the direction for your life? Do you have direction for your life? What is your mission, which I like to call your governing statement? What governs your actions? Every single day you do a set of actions. Why do you do them? Where are they taking you? Do you have a clear picture of that? Your personal skills. What is it that you do or you're good at? Are you strengthening those things? Now, sometimes people say that you work on your weaknesses. You really should follow your strengths, outsource your weaknesses. Make your strength stronger. Let someone who has that weakness become your strength. And that's how you build foundation. Sometimes we're distracted, focusing on weakness. If you're not by nature somebody that plans, chances are you're not just going to automatically become a planner because it's a weakness. You can spend so much time trying to become a planner that you neglect other things that you're naturally good at. Maybe you're good at completion, finishing projects. There is something else that is your strength. So what you end up doing is having a mediocre level of performance because you're focusing too much on weaknesses that should be outsourced. You should focus on strengths. Outsource your weakness. Let somebody help you where you are weak. Beliefs. How are beliefs formed? Beliefs are formed by the things that we see, hear, and experience. See, hear, and experience. So remember, I talked about the past 2 years, what we've seen, what we've heard, what we've experienced. Whether you are cognizant of it, it has shifted your foundation and it has shifted your mindset. You now are operating out of more fear. You now are not sure what is the next step or what you should do. You now might be thinking, is this right for me? Am I doing the right thing? You now have fear around, a recession that we've heard is coming or people are experiencing. If we don't have a strong belief system, then what we see, hear, and experience is going to shift our foundation. Similarly, what you value comes from your belief. So in terms of my pillars, right, I value my faith. I value my family. I value my friends. I value in terms of my ability to generate wealth and make income in my life. So that's also a foundation. And then leverage. How am I able to take my efforts and magnify or multiply them? Let me know in the chat if you're getting anything from this so far as we're about to go deeper. Is this good? Let me know. Give me your feedback. And we're going to dive into looking at what I call the wealth formula. Now, the wealth formula was adopted from Roger Hamilton. I love his teachings. And I want to share this here before we go deeper into rebuilding the foundations and building the foundation, because this is something that we need to understand. As I was going through my notes, I realized every year I have a word for the year. I didn't realize my word for the year was build. So when I went back through my planner, Monique, I saw word of the year, build. And in October, when I was praying, the Lord said to me, do this month of building. And it's so powerful how it aligns with what at the beginning of the year I confessed in terms of building. So whether it's to build life, whether it's to build career, whether it's to build business, foundation is key. So the wealth formula, wealth is equal to value times leverage. Value times leverage. What is wealth? Wealth is everything you have after your money is gone. Wealth is everything you have after money is gone. That's deep. Soak that up right there. So wealth is equal to value times leverage. He gave this example of how a river flows. For a river to flow, there has to be a downward slope. So you would see in the diagram, flow is a downward slope. So that means the river is flowing. Now, in order for us to accumulate wealth, we might have one river, one thought, one stream that's going and that's flowing. Value creates flow. So time is not money, value is money. The more value you can bring to time, the more flow you have. Time is not money, value is money. The more value I have, the more flow I have. Flow is all my resources, flow is all my wealth, and wealth is what I have when all my money is gone. And the leverage is the width. This is my ability to now magnify my efforts. So all of my value and all of my flow is not dependent solely on me, but it's dependent on my ability to leverage what I know, what I do, and what I have. I'm going to slow down there because this is kind of like a heavy concept. I want to make sure that we get it. And of course, if you have questions, please save them and I'll answer all questions at the end. So the wealth formula, flow, everything I am, everything I do, is flowing out of my life, right? Value, the value that I bring in time, it accumulates my flow and my wealth. So if I'm not increasing in personal value, if I'm not increasing in the value that I bring to time, then I'm not increasing my flow. And then leverage is my ability to amplify everything that I do, everything that I have, everything that I am. So right now, this is leverage. Right now, I'm talking to you as my audience, and I'm sharing things that I've learned and things that are helping me to build and to rebuild. Because sometimes you've built something in the past and it couldn't be sustained. Or let's say something happened, like I mentioned, and it disturbed your life, your career, your business, your family. Now you're in a place of where I'm rebuilding, but remember, our foundation is having a mind to work. Work is not a physical activity, it's a mental activity. So if I'm not mentally engaged and if I do not have a mind to work, I will not see the results to accumulate wealth. So there's this story I want to tell you guys. A friend of mine, we were driving one time in the vehicle, and he was mashing all the way down on the accelerator. And as he was mashing all the way down on the accelerator, the car would not go faster. The harder he pressed the accelerator, it did not do anything for movement and motion. So what he said to me is, I think my car just went X to board. I was like, what does that mean? What are you saying? Your car went X to board. And he said it meant that regardless of how much gas I put or how much pressure I put on the accelerator, because it's completely down to the board, it will not move, it will not accelerate because I am X to board. Sometimes we're going harder, but we're not going faster or further because we are X to board. When that happens, he said, all you have to do now is release your foot off the gas and then press again to get momentum. Culture has made us feel guilty about pausing to release. And that's what I want to free you from today. Some people are living their lives literally X to board, mashing the gas harder to go further and faster. But you're extra bored. You've already exhausted everything at that point, and you need to release so that you can press again, so that you can shift and accelerate. So some people think that moving is always just being aggressive and pressing on the gas. When you would get more movement, if you look at your foundation and you look at your mind, release and then press again, because you might be extra bored right now, which means that you're not really going faster. You're pressing the gas, right? So the car was moving, it was moving slow, but it was moving. So you might see movement or you might see forward movement, but you don't see acceleration because you need to release a bit, press again. Release a bit, press again. So that's how you now get more speed and more momentum, by releasing. You cannot accelerate in this function. You cannot accelerate in this function. If your pillars are off, if your foundation is off, remember, you cannot build a strong building on a weak foundation, so you cannot accelerate in this function. Let's talk for a little bit about this function. Are you guys getting anything? Drop yes, yes in the chat if you are getting anything out of today, building the foundation for the future. Yes, good. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So my dad, I'm going to tell a story about my dad. You all don't tell him, on social media, so he probably wouldn't know. I think I told him, but I'm going to use him as an example right now. So we had the kitchen tap. It was not closing all the way off. So you had to, all right, I see you, Danica. You had to not close it all the way so that it would function kind of subnormal. So I said, well, Dad, why don't we just change the tap? Like, why don't we just redo the plumbing there? Like, that's me. If it doesn't work, get rid of it. Like, I throw it away. I'm a minimalist. I like, very, minimal. I can't take clutter and I can't take dysfunction. So this thing is dripping, drip, 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 drip. And he's like, oh, you don't know how to work it. If you close it, like not all the way, but a little way, it will stop dripping and it will function. Now, because he got used to functioning in dysfunction, it did not bother him. He did not even hear the drip because the dysfunction became normal. So this dysfunction now became a part of his life and his process, right? And it became a part of the foundation, but it didn't belong because it was dysfunction. So now I was like, no, I can't take this. Of course, I just changed everything out. I gave that example to say sometimes we adjust to things in life that is dysfunction that we can't see. We add it as part of our foundation, but it's not how you were designed to work. It's not how you were designed to function. So let's say you're in a high stress job or a high stress environment. Some of us are adapters, so we adapt to high stress. It is dysfunction because it's impacting our pillars. But because we've adapted, it's like the dripping tap. My dad no longer heard it because dysfunction now became normal. I'm going to let that soak in. So your foundation can be impacted right now because of some dysfunction that you learn to live with. And then we say things like, I'm adaptable and I'm flexible and I can make things happen and I can work with this issue. But is that really how it was designed to function, how you are designed to function? Or is it a dysfunction that you made become normal and it's now become a part of your life and you're trying to accelerate with some dysfunctional things? I can tell you some of my dysfunctional habits. Some of my dysfunctional habits is I'm afraid to release things until I feel that it's perfect. And while I'm not releasing those things, people that need it are suffering. I'm holding on to a resource like this workshop that I felt like I didn't have all these pieces and all these things that I wanted to do and all these gifts I wanted to give you. But if I hold back, that's a personal thing with me and my foundation. And can I tell you, that is me valuing me over valuing what I'm called to do. I'm valuing how I look. It's self-preservation. It's me trying to be perfect when that is somebody else's answer. So while I'm here with my, trying to accelerate with my dysfunction, this is just the way I am. Like, I like things perfect. Then I see you, Monique. I'm not releasing something, an answer that somebody needs. Like this training today is going to help somebody to rebuild their foundation to go forward. If I said that I wasn't going to do it because I didn't feel like it was perfect, then look at the impact on that person's life, because I valued me over valuing what I'm called to do and who I am and what I'm purposed to do. So my aim through this series today is to raise your awareness, to move some people from driving X to board, trying to accelerate, but you're out of steam, you're out of gas, and you just keep mashing. You're at the end, but in your mind, somehow, it says, keep going, right? And that's good. I'm the advocate of push past pain and passionately pursue purpose, but I had to understand push does not always mean going past my limits. So there are times when pushing needs to be released so that I can continue to push. So we can't accelerate if we have some dysfunctional things that are attached to our pillars. We can't multiply or have multiple streams trying to push all of the cars up the hill at the same time. So remember, we said we have a flow and we have value. Now, if we only have flow and value, and we are the only person doing all of the activities, there is no leverage. You will experience burnout because you are trying to push all the cars up a hill at the same time. So you're trying to push the life car, the family car, the career car, the business car, the ministry car, and you're just here just trying to push all these cars up the hill at the same time because you have not built leverage to magnify everything that you do, to magnify everything that you are. So that stops our flow because all of my value is now split. There's a term where people like to say work-life balance that I don't like, because I do not believe that life balances. Life does not balance. You can't give equal time, energy, effort, and resources to every area of your life. To balance means it's equal. So if I'm trying to balance life, it means everything is equal. Guess what? Everything is not equal. Life harmonizes. So if you know about music, a harmony is different notes going together at the same time, but making this beautiful blend of music. So because life does not balance, life harmonizes, it means at any given time, I have to determine what gets my value, what gets my attention. At times, something needs it more, something needs it less. So when I now have this beautiful harmony, now I can flow because I'm not trying to balance and get all of my cars up the hill at the same time. Am I talking to anybody today in this training? Am I talking to anybody who's trying to get all the cars up? You were just here trying to juggle. When what you need is beautiful music. So at one time, this is a priority. At another time, this is a priority. At another time, this is a priority. And not feeling guilty about it. I think that's the biggest thing, right? We know that we could shift, but we feel guilty. That's a foundation thing. Because it goes back to mindset. It goes back to belief. You have to believe that if you don't do it, listen, they will be okay. People will live. They will survive. Like we used to think that we couldn't do life without my mom, and she passed 4 years ago. Guess what we live in? We still do everything. We still have to be. So you might be thinking, if I don't do it, how will it get done? If I don't do it, who's going to do it? If I don't show up. But you are actually trying to push all of your cars up the hill at the same time, and you won't be able to accelerate because your flow is going to be now become a force. So I always say you could either live in your flow or you can live in your force. Your flow is that divine level that God has designed you to operate under. You know, when we start to feel overwhelmed and frustration, it's because we are living in our force. So it's like we're trying to make everything happen and it's going against our natural rhythm, our natural flow, and our natural force. So let's jump back to my slides. I see you guys. Somebody says, yes, it's me. Trying to move too fast and nothing seems to be moving. I love it. Too much value on others and not putting value on myself. I love it. I do this too much. All right. So we get in something today. Let's keep going. So this is where, wait, I'm not sharing my screen yet. Okay, I think I should be sharing it now. Let me know. I don't see it up here for me. Too many things going at the same time. Okay, let me see. Okay, 1 second, guys, while I get the slide back up. Now we're going to dive into what I call the foundation framework. Those of you who are inside the Zoom room, I'm going to be sending out a copy of this actual document to you so that you can have it for future reference if you're watching me live on any of the platforms, to get access to all of the trainings and the resources and the additional material and the VIP room where you get to ask me questions. Please sign up by going to prmblueprint.com/free trainings. prmblueprint.com/free trainings is gonna put you on the list where you will receive all of the additional resources, the notes, and the replays. So make sure that you guys are in the Zoom room. Like, it's good to watch on Facebook or YouTube, but it's even better to get access and to be in the physical room. So now let's go back to our slides here. We should have it up now. So there are 4 categories in terms of where we might be right now in our life. You could either be a builder, a camper, a performer, or a player, right? So this is some categories that I've created so we can see. You first have to know where you are, what you're doing, so that you can make changes and you can now move into a different quadrant. So let's talk about some of the attributes or the characteristics of someone that is, first, let me talk about campers first, right? So let me just talk about campers, the characteristic of a camper. How do I know if I am a camper or if I am a builder? So campers become comfortable in places. They value comfort level. So anything that makes them uncomfortable, they back off of it. So things that they are designed to take over, to dominate, to conquer, because they value comfort, they end up pitching a tent in a place where they were supposed to bring value and bring transformation and change. Because they don't want to ruffle feathers. That's what campers say, things like, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. I don't want to ruffle any feather. That's the mentality of a camper. Remember, we said mind to work. Work is a mental sport. There are things in our mindset now that is disrupting our foundation. Campers are thinking, I like comfort. This makes me uncomfortable, so I'm not going to do it because it makes me uncomfortable. Campers are short-sighted. So they only see what's in front of them and they live day to day. So whatever happens today, I would respond to today. I'm not going to think about tomorrow. I'm not going to think about the future. The future is scary. So I rather live in today and live in now and not think about future. Campers are very short-sighted. They focus on what's in front of them and not their vision. That's a foundation thing that we need to address if we are campers. campers never lay deep roots in anything. They never lay deep roots. So before a camper can bloom, they uproot themselves and try something else. Before they could see results, they uproot themselves and try something else. So they never have deep roots, which means when things happen in life, the camper blows in any direction. I like watching house building shows, right? And on some of the shows, I'm amazed how in one day they make over an entire yard by bringing all the lawn, the trees, the grass, the shrubs, everything. They bring it and they just transform. So it looks good on the surface, right? Campers have this visibly appealing effect. Things look good. It looks like they're making it. It looks like things are working out for them because it's very cosmetic. But a camper has no deep roots. So it means when any life storm or any life adversity comes, it blows the camper off and they are out of sorts because they have no foundation. So things look good on the surface. And let me tell you, there are times in my life where I'm camping out in seasons, camping out in situations, might look like I have it all together, let's be honest, but then on the back end, winds are blowing and you're tossing, but cosmetically you look good. That's a camper. And a camper is a serial talker, and they are not doers. Serial talkers, slow doers. So they always talk about what they are going to do, but they never do it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Campers are like obsessive planners, but then they're not obsessive about action and execution. So planners are my people right now who have tons of things written in notebooks and journals and notes on their phone, but they haven't done anything. That's a mindset of a camper. Now I'm saying this not to make anybody feel bad, but I want to raise awareness so that you could shift, so you could have a mind to work. There might be things or places in your life you are camping out right now because you just don't have the awareness. But now that I've raised the awareness, you are able to shift and to move from becoming a camper to a builder. So a camper pops up with one idea, it doesn't work. They pop up with another idea, it doesn't work. They pop up with another idea, it doesn't work. And not because they have seen that idea through, but because they've given up just before it was time. In the book of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill gives this story of Darby, and they were 3 feet away from gold. That's the name of the story. And they were digging this gold mine where they found a vein of gold. Now, there was some point in the digging where they could no longer find a vein. And they gave up and, they called off the troops, and he sold the mine for, I think, something like $100 because he felt like it was pointless, it was useless. So he sold the mine for $100, and the man that came after him, he brought an expert who understood mines and digging for gold. And 3 feet away from where Darby stopped was where they struck gold. So for $100, he bought the efforts of someone else that did not value the gold mine, and he got leverage because he brought in an expert. Campers give up too soon. Campers, when they don't see the results, they throw in the towel. Campers sell their birthright. So we don't want to have the mindset or the mind of a camper. We want to have a mind to work, and we want to have the mindset of a builder. Let's talk about the mindset of a builder now. Is this good? Anybody starting to identify things that they can tweak to build their life foundation? Let me know in the chat. You all know I love feedback. I love to know this is good. Yes. I like to know what is impacting you to make sure that we are shifting and accomplishing our purpose with this training. So let's now talk about builders, right? So builders are very calculated in their decision making. When they decide to move, they are going to move. They make a plan and they move. Now remember, the camper makes a plan, but they don't move. The builder now makes a plan and actually moves. So if you've identified today that you are a camper and that you're camping out in your life, you're camping out on yourself, what you need to do is to partner with a builder. If you feel like you don't have the mental strength, some people can inspire and they're internally motivated. So they can go through an exercise or training like this and become motivated, and then they can start doing something. But some of us, we might need someone else. Now that you identify the difference in the mindset of a camper and a builder, if you are a camper, get a builder. That's what the man did in the story. He didn't know anything about gold, but there was an expert that came and said, oh, you just have to dig 3 feet and then you'll find gold. So for his investment of $100 to get an expert, he found gold and was able to leverage the skill and the mindset of someone else. So if you are camping, you have a vision, but you don't know how to move it forward, get with a builder. If you're building a house, right? In your mind, you know what the house looks like. Maybe the architect drew what the finished product should look like. But the person that does all the work is the builder. The builder lays the foundation and says, this is the depth that we need to be able to build up. So you need to make sure that you're partnered with a builder. The mindset of the builder. The builder takes calculated risk, right, in their decision making. They are farsighted. So the builder always sees the future. They build in the present, but they see the future. Remember, the camper is only living day to day. They might have a fuzzy view of the future, but it's not clear. So they live in the moment, hoping that it gets them to vision. The builder is calculated, vision is clear. So they see the vision, they're building now, but they're building from the future. It's kind of like Noah, right? When we talk about Bible business and breakfast next week, I'm going to dive into biblical context for all of these things that I'm teaching you guys in the series. But I have to bring this example. Noah had never seen what an ark looked like, but he was building from the future. So he was building something that he got a mental picture or mental vision for in the present, not knowing why, depending on God for the how, and he was building in the present something that was futuristic. Builders are people that see clear what they want the future to be, and they take steps now in the present to build the future. So builders look crazy sometimes because nobody has seen what they are doing. Builders are crazy to their family members because guess what? Uncle, auntie, grandma, nobody has ever done this or walked this path. So as a builder, you can expect to look crazy among your family members. You can expect to look like something is strange. You can expect it because you're building something. The people laughed at Noah. They were like, Rain, like, what is that? We don't even know what that is. But based on instruction, Noah is in the future with people who are present day thinkers. So you are in the future with people who are present day thinkers. Therefore, they can't see, they don't have an understanding. And then you're becoming discouraged and you are camping with your vision because another camper discouraged you. Ever notice a camping community is a bunch of tents together? So if you are a builder and you share with a camper is going to discourage you to the point to where you join the camping community. So you have to make sure that you have the right voices speaking over and into your vision. Now let's go on. Let's talk about builders. We're still on builders, right? Builders, they put their hand to the work. So they have the vision, yes, but then they put their hand to the work to get it done. Are you putting your hand to the work to get things done? So I'm going to do a poll now for those of you in the room. And I want to know, where are you right now? Are you a builder? Are you a camper? Now, don't feel bad, right? This acknowledgement is the first step to get help. So you don't have to feel bad if you are currently exhibiting some of the characteristics of a camper. We know that we want to be a builder. So you know what you need to do to shift from camping mentality to building mentality. This is why we have this community where we are all builders. So even if some of the things you might be camping out some places, the builders here will pull you. I'll pull you along so that you can now begin to build instead of camp. Now, the next group of people we want to talk about, let me pull back up my screen here, is our performer versus player. Performer versus player. So the performer is the person that can see detailed information and get things done. Let me explain. Let me give an example so it makes it clearer. If you think about an orchestra, there is a band of performers. Usually, whatever is composed might not be written by the performers, but they have the ability to read music. They have the ability to play an instrument. They have the ability to work in a team. They have the ability to move things forward. They have the ability to grow with something. So they are a performer because even though they might not have written the music, even though they might not have composed the song, they have the ability now with skill and with the precision of taking action to be able to move things forward because they can perform. So as a builder, you also need to be a performer because you need to have the ability to use your skill. You need to have the ability to now use your equipment, what you know. Remember our first slide about let me go back so we could connect, right? The foundation. So we talked about mindset, we talked a little about vision, personal skills. So the performer in your foundation, you have the ability to now use that skill to build. So let's talk a little bit about characteristics of the performer. What does it look like to be a performer? The performer asks questions like, what needs to be done? These are the questions the performer asks. What needs to be done? After they ask what needs to be done, the performer asks how to get it done. Performers are achievement driven. So when they accomplish one thing, the performer is now looking for the next thing. So yeah, I did this, but what is the next thing? I did this, what is the next thing? So performers have the ability to move a vision forward because of the way that they think and because they are achievement driven. Performers are the 1% thinkers, where everybody else is thinking 99. Performers are the 1%. So they're not thinking this can't be done. They are thinking, how can this be done? 1% thinkers. Majority of the people in the world are going to see the problem and say, oh, the problem exists. Performers are going to say, oh, the problem does exist, but how do we now fix the problem? What's the solution? That's a 1% thinker. That's where we want to train to become and not join the community of campers who don't see solutions. Train yourself to become a performer. And finally, we want to talk about the players. The players are the people that take part in an idea. So let's think about any sporting game. Usually the coach is the person that drafts the plays or creates the plays. So the player has the ability to take part in an idea. but they don't generate the idea. The player executes from the plans of others. So the player is similar to the camper in the camper lives day to day. The player needs somebody else to tell them what to do. They're not self-driven and self-motivated. Players also talk, plan, and they never do. Because players lack confidence in their own skill. So the player is confident in the coach, not themselves. So if in your mind, remember a mind to work, work is not what I do with my hands, work is a function of my mind. If I don't feel like my ideas are good enough, chances are I'm developing some of the characteristics of a player. Where if someone else did it, I would feel more confident. If someone else told me, I would feel more confident. But listen, you can't afford to hold up your vision just being a player lacking confidence in your own vision and your own skills. So we have to move out of these quadrants, which are for players and campers. Now I want us to be honest again, right? And to answer, am I a performer or am I a player? Performer or player? I'm gonna poll the room again and you can answer. You know why this is good today? Because when you begin to identify things about yourself, you can now make changes, which is why today is about raising awareness, because awareness means I could do something about it. You could be living day to day, and doing activities, not really aware of how does this look in my life? How does this get me closer to my goal? How does this get me closer to my dreams? And that is what today's session is about. Not about feeling bad about wherever we are on the spectrum, but about figuring out, okay, I'm here. What do I need to do to move? How do I get to a new place? How do I get to a different place from where I am right now? All right. How we going? 1, if we good, keep going. 2, if we had enough. Krisha, I'm tired. 1, somebody says keep going. 1, if you want me to keep going. 2, if you're like, it's a lot, girl, I need a break. Okay, I'm seeing the ones coming in. So you're telling me to keep going, to keep going, to keep going. All right. Good, keep going. So you need to start thinking that I got to this level with what I know now. Therefore, I need something else to move to the next level. I got to this level with what I know now. I need something else to get to the next level. Now, what I don't want you to do is to immediately start thinking of an excuse. Our brain is wired to naturally default to negative. It takes a lot of effort to get to positive. So your brain, as I'm teaching this today, some of you like, this is talk, like this is good, but how does this help me? Your brain is already taking you down a negative track so that you will not accomplish. Because remember, we try to move to 1% thinkers that don't just see problems, but figure out how can we move from this place. So some of the excuses that you might make, I already do this, I have nothing to change, right? Some of the excuses you might make, I don't have money, I can't afford to do anything to change. I'll do it when I get more money. That's some of the excuses. But do you know if you have a mindset of I'll do it when I get more, it is actually stopping you from getting more? These are things that I had to learn. That if you confess those things and that is your mindset in terms of foundation, what you believe, then you never get more to accomplish the things that you desire. The question you should be asking is, how can I afford it? Or what you should be saying is, it's not a priority right now. How can I afford it? Or it's not a priority. we don't like to be honest with ourselves sometimes. And because we don't like to be honest, we remain stuck. You aren't confused, you get to confusion. And you know how you get to confusion? By confessing things over time. It brings you to confusion. So you feel confusion, but confusion is actually thought. Thought brings about feelings. So it means that over time, you have spoken or you thought or you confessed these things that brought you into confusion. Things like I'm stuck. Things like I'm confused. You aren't. Go back mentally and see, what are you telling yourself? What are you believing that makes you think that this is not possible for you? Can I tell you, there was a time in my life that I could believe for other people, but I couldn't believe for myself. Like, I can believe it will happen for you. And listen, I am rooting you on and I'm cheering, but I realized, wait a minute, like I can believe for other people, but why can't I believe for me? I had to go back to the root of my belief system, which something inside of me said I was not deserving. Something inside of me said I was not enough. Something inside of me said, oh, you're from a small island and, you know, a dot on the map. And something inside of me became a belief system that made me feel unworthy. I had to dig into that in order to build. I had to begin to think, I am worthy. I deserve this. I know what I'm doing. It might sound crazy, right? That you could have all these degrees and all these qualifications and you still think you don't know what you're doing. That you could be so good getting results for your clients and you're still struggling, like, can I really do this? I see some of you laughing, like, am I really good? That's some of the things that we honestly struggle with. I would see my client win and still be like, yeah. But then when it came to me, like, I struggled to believe for me. Some of the excuses that we make is, I'm giving myself time. Oh, this is a good one. I'm giving myself time. I just need time, right? So I'm giving myself time. You can't give yourself something that doesn't belong to you. So you can't give yourself time because time is a gift to you. So I can't give myself something that was given to me to govern. Time is given to you to govern. So it's not really time management, it's time government. Man, I think this is so good. Listen, I'm about to end the stream in a little bit. I just kick it with my people in the Zoom room. If you are not in the Zoom room and you desire to be in the Zoom room, please go to prmblueprint.com/free trainings, because we're going to chat in the Zoom room in a minute to hop on Zoom, because we'll be ending the stream shortly. What I want to do is I want to give a free gift to somebody. I shared with you Roger Hamilton, his wealth equation. One of the things I make all of my clients do now is the wealth dynamics, to understand how best do I generate wealth. Where am I right now? And what do I need to do to be able to generate wealth? And he also gives you like a good assessment of what is your wealth dynamic and how to move to the next bracket in terms of wealth. I'm going to give that gift away to the person. So this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to go in the Facebook group, Purpose Diaries Facebook group. And I want you to share how today's session has helped you or impacted you. Share with me what you learned from today, what you identified. And I'm going to pick somebody that does that. And I'm going to give you that wealth dynamics assessment. It comes with a wealth dynamics training that will help you to understand how best you make money and what to do to get to the next level. I'm about action, right? So I want to teach you, but I also want to empower you. So for anyone that wants to win that wealth dynamics assessment, go into the Facebook group Purpose Diaries and share with me your insight from today. And I'm going to make sure that I read them. Like, I really want to hear how this training is not about me, guys. It's really about you. So I want to hear how this training has impacted your life, and one person will win that wealth dynamics training. It's very, very, very powerful. I will award that to one person. So for those of you joining me on the live stream, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're seeing this, thank you so much for joining me today for building the foundations. I think you have a good perspective of things that you could change right now. Those of you who are on Zoom or want to hop onto Zoom, you know what to do. And we're gonna dig into some of these points here, and I want to answer questions and coach some people around everything that I've shared today. All right, so I'm going to say bye-bye to the live stream people, and then I'm going to